We will start tonight locally with Ethan Hunter at our big board, showing us how things have changed between 2016 and today. Ethan?
Yeah, it's been a world of change since then, Rachel. You're absolutely right. But here's where we are now. We're going to start out with the nation and with the swing states that we know. We've got some states that we are pretty sure are going to be blue, always been blue, some states that are likely going to be red. There's a couple differences in there, but we're talking about the swing states here. We've got Georgia, we've got North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. These are the 7 states that are going to really decide this election. Now, back in 2020, Joe Biden won the electorate 303 to 235. He won Michigan, he won Wisconsin, he won Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona. Not North Carolina. That's really where this is a swing state now. I mean, Ohio was a swing state, Florida was a swing state. Those both went to Trump in 2020. They're not swing states anymore. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that we could look at here, but I'm going to try to keep it moving for you guys. In a situation where Kamala wins Michigan and Wisconsin up here in the Midwest region, and Donald Trump wins North Carolina and Georgia, that puts us tied right here, 251 to 251. It's going to be a long night for us no matter what, but this is really, and by night I do mean the next month, this is really where all the money is going to be made. We're tied here in this, and Pennsylvania could win it for either of these candidates. And I mean, something that would be where we're looking at that, because Nevada 6, Arizona 11, that's 17 to 19. Pennsylvania would be what everybody would be looking at for one of these candidates to win. There's a whole bunch of scenarios that we could go through. That's just one of them. Now, here let's look at Michigan. This is 2020. Joe Biden won Michigan by a little bit less than 3 percentage points back then. Now look at, we've got a whole lot of red and then a little bit that's blue. That's the population centers there in blue. But what is blue? The I-75 corridor here. We've got Saginaw, we've got Flint down into Detroit, we've got Lansing, East Lansing, Kent County, Grand Rapids. We're going to go back to that in just a moment. Stay right there. And then Marquette up in the UP, the lone blue county. Like I said, it was 3 points. Kent County, let's talk about that first. Trump won that by 3 in 2016. It's been historically Republican. It's always been red. That 3 was a narrow margin. Biden won it by 6 in the 2020 election. So where is that vote coming from? It's Grand Rapids. It's Chicagoans moving into that area. It's a whole bunch of things. But we're going to see what that turnout is like. Does it get more than 6? Does it stay around that area? Of course, Michigan, Joe Biden won. So if it stays around what it did in 2020, we're going to be looking at the same kind of result, but it was close. Let's move on to Wayne County. What will the Arab vote do? There's a whole lot of talk of whether they will show out for Kamala Harris or not. A lot of people boycotting that presidential election because of the war in Gaza. Let's go to Macomb County right here. Now, Trump won that by 11.5 in 2016, only 8 in 2020. Another county that will be red, but how red, that's really what's the question. But let's see what's in blue here. I already ran through some of the cities, but let me read them for you again. East Lansing, Kalamazoo, Ann Arbor, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Marquette. What do you notice there? It's schools, it's colleges. Where are the big universities in Michigan? Those are the counties that are blue, and of course the big cities. But those colleges, what is the voter turnout going to be in the young voter demographic, 18 to 29? Will we get a huge turnout in this election? We're going to look at it in a second here in East Lansing, but that's going to be one of the big questions. How will that 18 to 29 vote turn out? I think it's going to be more than ever before. Ingham County specifically. Democrats, of course, Joe Biden winning here 33%, 32% really of a win here in Ingham County. And as we look at it closely, what does that mean? A whole lot of red as in the outskirts, Lansing and East Lansing. Blue, this is East Lansing. We're going to look a little bit closer at that. Mason down here, that's what's blue. The rest of the county is red. Don't look to have much of a change in that. But let's look at this. East Lansing City, that's this weird looking one right here. Population of 45,000 in 2020, only 14,000 voters. Now, of course, Biden won by 60%, but it's not what's interesting. What's interesting here is that voter turnout, only 14,000 students. In 2016, that turnout was over 17,000. And why the change? That's because of COVID. Students weren't all on campus during the election. They're definitely here now. There are over 50,000 students here at Michigan State, and there's been a huge effort to register them to vote and vote early on campus this year. From what I and our other reporters have seen all year, this group is politically active this year and will show up more than ever. So I expect that 14,000 number to skyrocket, just like it will all over the country, but especially here in East Lansing. And that is what you should be looking at here in the nation and in Michigan.
Thanks, Ethan. Recent polling from over the weekend showed Vice President Harris gaining a slight lead in Iowa, despite Iowa being a traditionally red state. If Iowa were to flip in favor of Vice President Harris, what kind of effect would that have on the election?
Yeah, I mean, some polls are saying that's a possibility, but it's still a long shot. But don't overlook those 6 electoral votes, because that could create a world of change. It could make things a lot harder for Trump if that does flip Kamala's way. He really couldn't lose both North Carolina and Georgia if Michigan or Wisconsin, or Michigan and Wisconsin go to Harris, and then he also has Iowa. If Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan, that Midwestern trio, all went blue, she'd only need either North Carolina or Georgia to get to 273, because they're both at 16. So crossing that 60 or that 270 mark, she wouldn't even need Pennsylvania in that scenario. So that could create a whole world of difference. But it's all the same stuff. You know, you win the most of those swing states. If it becomes 8 swing states, that's better for Kamala, but that's how it goes.
Awesome.